you know what I'm saying? Welcome back to another episode, you know what I'm saying? We got Sissy here with us today, you know what I'm saying? It's Women's History Month, and I wanted to get a woman in, and me and Sissy, we ended up talking and connecting this, but first off, Sissy, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Yeah. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm thankful, for another day. And then it's crazy because before we got started, y'all, Sissy okay, before we get this, we need to pray, you know what I'm saying? We need to cut the music off and you know what I'm saying, get the spirits aligned and things like that, and just pray. So it's first off, by you doing that, just kind of just set the mood, and then it's like God's really working, because I'm the type of people I want to bring on, I'm willing to bring on anybody, but it's you gotta fit, you gotta be a certain type of person, you know what I'm saying? You gotta go along with my message, what I stand for, not to say it gotta always be faith-based or we always gonna sit here and talk about God and things, but my pastor said one time, just being a child of God, you can be talking about football and it's gonna lead to God. You can be talking about food and it's just gonna lead to God. So, the fact that you just prayed and set that off, like I said, I'm appreciative of that, Sissy, for real. And then, just speak to that faith. When did you start to develop your faith?
Oh, well, my faith, so it's been ongoing, but I would have to say that it actually started in childhood. Now, I didn't grow up in the church, but I grew up, I would say, more so, I grew up very poor, you know what I mean? So I watched my parents struggle a lot. I watched them go through a lot of different things. And so we lived way out so this is when I was growing up in Tucson. We lived way out near the state prison, out in the desert, nothing else surrounded us. But so we had this acre yard, and our mobile home was on that yard and everything. And I remember always growing up, at night I would go and I would walk outside and I would see the stars, and I always kind of knew there was something bigger out there, something more than us. And I was probably 5 years old at this time. So I would kind of always hope for more, and I guess that's where my faith started and as a child I didn't know what that was. I just thought it was just me just kind of just having that hope within me. And then I remember I made my first friend. She was my neighbor, and so she used to have this Precious Moments collection. I don't know if you remember Precious Moments.
No, I don't. What is that? What is
Precious
that?
Moments is these little, I guess these little dolls that they used to have that they used to have prayers with them and all these different things. So she used to have that, and that was kind of my first introduction into a prayer. Because granted, my parents are from my mom's from the island, so we're from Palau. My dad is from Okinawa, Japan. So growing up with them, being from those places, the only religion I ever seen was Buddhism from my grandma, my dad's side, and so I'd never seen anything other than that. So even in that, that kind of didn't really resonate with me, because it was always strange to watch my grandmother pray to a man. Not people think of Buddha as this fat, you know what I mean?
Big belly, dude. That's what I think. When you said Buddha, I'm bald head, big belly.
Yeah.
I'm you can tell he was eating good, right? I'm just
No, that's real though. But it wasn't really that. It was more this it was a picture of a man, and every day at a certain time she would go and she had a shrine for him who had hit this gong and the incense, pray, and that didn't quite resonate with me. It didn't make sense. So I would always question different things within my own mind. But I'll never forget the friend that I grew up with. She was my neighbor. Like I said, she had this Precious Moment collection, and it would say a prayer. And I can't remember what the prayer was. I'm sure it was something along the lines of Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd. And so I remember that was my first introduction there. And I guess it just kind of grew. That's when I got an idea of God in general. And so when I was would see my parents struggling and stressing over bills or whatever, I would always pray and be well, God, I hope that you can help me help my parents one day, make me the one that can help them so they don't have to struggle anymore, because I knew the kind of lifestyle I lived. It was it was hard growing up, and there's a lot of things that I hoped for. I always dreamed and visioned having one day a picket fence house, 2-story, and all that stuff. Being able to even live in a neighborhood with paved streets was a dream to me. So I guess that's just kind of motivated me through life. And as I was growing up, I kind of lost sight of that, because it wasn't ever practiced in my family. I mean, I had family members that went to church.
Because that was gonna be my next question to you. because that's what happens to a lot of people. It's amazing to see, like, okay, my family, like my mom and dad really didn't have that faith, but like I knew I needed to grow that faith. And then like you talked about praying for them, because like it made me think of like, man, isn't it, like my pastor was saying one time, isn't it good to be on the prayer list? Isn't it good to have people praying for you? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, your little prayer could have been the reason though why those bills got paid that month. You know what I'm saying? So it's like just having that faith. And then one thing I like that you talked about too is like you said, like your mom and dad didn't have that faith, but you know, started to build your faith, because I feel like that's a big thing. Like they say, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. You know what I'm saying? So it's like E.T. was saying one time, like, you know, my granddad was a dropout. My dad was a dropout, and then I ended up being a dropout. And it made me just think back to, like, you know, when you raised with non-believers and stuff, then like you end up being a non-believer. And then like I remember my pastor just saying, like, then you got generations of generations just going to hell. And I'm like, it's crazy because don't nobody want to think about it that way. But I'm like, it's so true. You know, like how important was it for you to like just say, I'm gonna go my own way? Because I'm sure you probably took some little criticism, or like, you know, not even criticism or anything, but like it's a lonely walk though when you choose to, you know, they not non-believers, but I'm gonna be a believer. So talk about that.
So yeah, it definitely is, most definitely, and thank you for saying it that way, because it was, I felt like, I always felt growing up like I was like that one black sheep of the family that always did something different. Like, you know what I mean? All my cousins, everybody, they all got along with each other, you know, but for some reason I just wasn't always fitting in with them, and I always had a different set of values, like in my mind and just the way that I operated. So I guess when I went into high school, that's when I first got invited to like a church service. And like that was when I first, you know, took the opportunity. I was like, okay, but granted, even before that, it was just that adolescent phase of going through, trying to find myself. You know, we all go through it. We're trying to figure out who we are in this world, where we fit on social media and all that stuff. So, you know, so I went through all that, lost sight of it. But when I got invited to that church service, I took the opportunity to go. And I'll never forget, I walked into that church building and the preacher was up preaching, and it felt like he was talking directly to me. Like there was nobody else in the room. Like he was like, it was zoned in. Ain't that crazy? It was an amazing feeling. And like I would watch how people praise and worship him, and it was like, that to me was different, but I knew that there was just something different about it. Right. Like, and I was like, just something connected.
And ain't it crazy? Like sometimes like say you don't go to church for like a month, or like you miss a Sunday or two. Ain't it crazy when you go back in, it's like God is talking to me, like he's talking to me, right? Like it's crazy because I'll be back there like the smile come off my face. I go to the smile, I'll be like, if God talking to me, like he needed me to hear this. I'm over there feeling guilty, like yeah, he talking to me, like right, straighten yourself up and stuff. But I'm like, that's so funny. And then like, you know, having like being that black sheep, like, you know, how important is it for you to, you know, put the people around you that align with who you becoming? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know, like I say, like, don't be unevenly yoked. And I feel like that applies to relationships, that apply to friendships, that apply to everything. So like, how important is it for you? Because you also got those people that you love that they just might not be believers, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I love them as they are, but I know for me, I might love you from a distance. But you know, how do you go about that?
So it was a big transitioning period. So that also happened like when I was in high school, when I found that church. I looked into it afterwards. I got saved, I got baptized. And then that's when things started changing in my life. Like my parents were completely, you know, like they just didn't take to it at all. So, you know, we butted heads, a lot happened, we fell out. So there was actually a span of a few years where I didn't really speak to my family and talk to them, so forth. So that kind of was a journey on my own to go about it by myself and really walk with the Lord and stand on that. So I would say that it wasn't until a couple years ago, my dad, it actually happened with my dad, who had a heart failure, so he had to have open heart surgery, and they tried to keep it from me. So it was kind of a lot that happened, but in my mind it clicked to me that like, okay, there's life more important than this little feud that we have going on. I have to learn to love them for who they are, where they're at, whether they accept what I believe or not, or you know what I mean. I can't force it on them either, because they can only take so much, you know, because we're all raised differently. I had to also consider the fact that I'm out here, like you said, like it's a lonely walk, but it's also a walk that's breaking generational curses. So I made the choice to kind of go the opposite way, so that maybe one day, if it's in the Lord's will, that I can come back and that their hearts would be more open and receptive. But if not, then God knows that I love them from that place.
And you know, the biggest mistake that we make, and I always go back to my pastor, I go back to anybody who drop knowledge, right? Because I love people who drop knowledge, who give me game. I like listening to music that influences me, pushes me, right? Like, I don't like just listening to anything, stuff like that. But, you know, it made me think about, like, how he was talking about how, like, our biggest thing is, like, we be trying to straighten people up. Like, you know, like, instead of trying to straighten people up, like, lead them to the truth. You know, like, he was talking about how, like, a woman would come to the church and she wearing booty skirt, booty this, and, like, you know, y'all be, don't dress like that. You don't need to be coming to church like that. Like, my pastor said, I wish you would say something to them. You know what I'm saying? Remember how you first came? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, you know, stop trying to straighten people up. Like, and I'm like, man, that's so weird. We always trying to straighten people up. You need to be doing this and that. He like, just lead them to the truth. And what they do with that is on them, you know what I mean? And like, I know for me, like I said, that helped me to just love people for who they are. Like, okay, I don't need to try to straighten you up. I don't need to try to, you need to go this way, that way. Like, nah, like, this is the way though. Like, this is the right way. Like, whether you choose to believe that and accept that or not is on you. But I feel like a lot of people drive people away. And then, like I say, a lot of people get these false ideas in their head as well, you know, like, because like I said, you'll hear all the time, people, oh, they think they perfect. Oh, they think they're this, they think they're that. I never said I was perfect. You know, shout out to Brittany, you know what I'm saying? Many visuals, you know what I'm saying? You know, her auntie had on this had on a shirt, it said I'm not perfect, I'm just forgiven. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, for real, you know, and when you learn how to, you know, like you say, like forgive, love, like that feud we got going on isn't that big. Like, let me love you. And that's why I still, like, when people talk bad about me, when people gossip, and I know you gossiping about me, and I know you talk bad about me, and all this, and you can just tell God when you woke, he just give you that energy. It's like, I'm still going to treat you with love, because if I respond the way you do, if I talk about you how, you know, when you gossip about people, it get back to them, whether good or bad, right? So it's like, instead of me responding, all right, you did me wrong, I'm going to do you this way, or you don't believe in what I believe in, all right, now I can't be friends with you. It's like, I still treat you with love, because then you can know how real God is. You know what I'm saying? Like in the midst of this feud, I'm still gonna treat you with love, because if I treat you the opposite way, if I treat you like I really want to treat you, you're gonna be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? That's not.
And
that's
it's like the reality of it too is like, people can only love you from the measure they love themselves.
That's real.
And so when you understand that every single one of us are out here in this world, like, we endured dysfunction and, you know, toxic anything. Like, we're all trying to work through some type of healing.
Right.
Because whether it was from childhood or, you know, in adulthood, in whatever ideas that we've been through, there's been a point where love has been distorted. And I mean, we believe that God is love, and we know that deep down inside, all of us are searching for some type of love, whether it is love from another person or love from security, you know, being able to be stable, love from, you know, just having peace, you know, all those things. Like, in some way, shape, or form, we're all searching for love. But then if you believe there's a God, you have to believe there's an enemy. So then there's an enemy in this world that's literally working against us, so that love is distorted, so that, you know what I mean, we go through this life harboring hurt, and then we don't come to that self-realization of things like that, because forgiveness is not easy, especially when someone has wronged you. But forgiveness is not just for the other person, it's for yourself.
For you, right.
And that's what's the most important thing, is that when you learn to forgive somebody else for the way they hurt you, then you're taking a load off of yourself.
For real.
And it's just like, and really it's just that understanding, like, people are all going through it.
And then like I say, forgiving them helps me to say hi. Say hello to them. Absolutely. Be able to say good morning. And like, you never just know what that does for a person, because they be shocked, because they're expecting you, after all the stuff I done talked about them, they expecting me to walk in like, versus like, I'll be like, hey, how you doing? Good morning. And it just shock them, and they be like, wow, then they got no choice but to love me, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And to smile and to say good morning back and things like that. But like you say, just, you know, and that's why I tell people, we human, you know what I mean? Like we know God is love, but it's like, I tell people all the time, my love ain't like God love. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm like, man, sometimes I'll be like, God, just turn away for 10 seconds. Like, let me just, 10 seconds, that's all I need. Like,
he already knows you're going to do it, though, before you do it.
And
he still loves you. Like, you think about all the people he called in the Bible. Moses, he called all these people, but he knew Moses was going to kill a man.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like David. He called David from when he was just a boy, but he knew David was going to commit adultery. Like, God loves us.
And that's why, going back to God love, and, you know, that's why I was, you know, just saying, like, the best thing I love about God is that like my pastor was saying, he knew where the priests were at. He knew where the preachers were at. He knew where everyone was at. He grabbed people that was broken.
Just
like he said, David, everybody, Moses, to let people know, like, I can take you where you are at now, and I can flip your situation around. Because, it's a lot of people who like, man, I didn't sin too much. I didn't did this. I didn't went too far against God. It's nothing too much for God. God can flip your situation around. Like Paul used to kill. Paul's one of his greatest disciples, like, right? Like Peter, like, right? They always doing something wrong, and God took people that was broken and he fixed them to let you know, like, he can use you as well. So, man, it's definitely, and then, let me ask, like, because I think it's huge, like, especially like being a woman, like, with faith, like, how important is it for you, like, cause I don't know your status, stuff like that, you got a man, right? Or okay, yeah. Right. How important is it for like your partner, going back to your partner, relationships, things like that, to have faith as well?
So honestly, that kind of came as like it grew. Like at first, I would say that it was the most important thing for me that a man be established in his faith. But I'll be honest, like let's just keep it to my first.
And not to cut you off, but one of the best things I learned is like my brother Tavon was telling me one time, he was like, Trail, because I was going through it, with this woman there, he was just saying like, because I was like, brother, she don't love God like me, she don't love. He was like, her walk is never gonna be the same as yours, and that's one thing that helped me. Like, no matter who I get with, our walks are gonna never be the same. Like, so I'm like, just not to cut you off, but I'm like, that's real. That's one thing I had to learn though.
I hear that, and like I understand that, because also for me it was like you hear all these different things out in the world that tell you like as a woman you need a man that's gonna be able to lead you. He needs to be a man of God so that he can lead you in the right way. But then it came to me that like the Lord had this saying laid on my heart to remember the strangers, because I was once a stranger. So now I just move through life like I give anybody love, and learning to love somebody for where they're at is something I just most recently had to learn how to do, and it's still something that's ongoing for me. So yes, it's important for me that a person has that value, like a man has that value to love God, but at the same time I give people grace, the same grace God gives them, because like you said, we're all measuring up from different levels. You know what I mean? And he's meeting us there. He's not meeting us when we get to a certain place of perfection. And
that's why I like what you said. You was like just learning to meet people for where they at. Because, like shout out to VL, my uncle. I had him on the episode and he was like, you gotta like meet people where they at, but like just don't stay there. Like, right? Like I can meet you where you at, but like we gotta move forward. And it's like too, like I think about like just showing everybody grace, because like you say, everybody walk is different. And like one scripture I love in the Bible, like he say like you can marry a non-believer and make them a believer. So like I say, by how you live your life and things can make people believe. Shout out to Jake Watson too. I'm always shouting out people, right? Jake, we did this dope interview right here in the same spot, but we never put the interview out because lost the camera, right? So I had to get a new camera and stuff. But he said something that touched my life. He was like, the best thing I heard all week was, he was like, the only Bible that somebody's gonna pick up and read is your life. And I'm like, yo, like that is deep right there. Cause I'm like, people do be looking at you and like, well, dang, Sissy did that. Nah, she got a child of God. Yeah. Sissy did this, like, right? They're always looking for something, and it's like, it's real. They looking at you like, well, you say you a child of God, you're this way, so you got to be this way. And that's why, like, we got to be careful, as believers in God and faith and stuff, on how we react. Like, we can't act like the world. Like, we got to treat people now. With that, don't get me wrong now. God don't say be no punk and just let people take advantage of you and, things like that. But, you definitely got to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to move about it with discernment through this life, because you have to understand, like, God didn't just reach the people in the church. Like, sometimes the church can get so caught up in themselves, but like the people that need ministering to are the people on the streets. You know what I mean? The people selling the drugs, the people, you know what I mean, doing all that stuff, hustling and grinding a different type of way. Like, some of those people that you meet out there have the best hearts, have the best souls, and you can see that God loves them so much. But like, if you have a certain mindset one way, you won't be able to reach them to where they're at. Right. So like, yeah, we all got bad habits. Like, you know what I mean? We all picked up things that, we know we probably shouldn't be doing. Everybody's got secrets. That's why God meets us to where we're at, because he knows and he loves us in spite of that. And that's his grace. And that's literally what's covered under the blood. So like with, it's amazing.
Right.
It's just,
And then let me ask you, like, because we're in a time now, like, where generations are just declining. You know what I'm saying? Like, families don't, eat together anymore. You know what I'm saying? Faith isn't a big thing no more. Like my pastor was saying, like, you used to go to church and it used to be like the Curtis family, the Sissy family over there, the Jacksons over there. Now it's just y'all come into church and y'all brothers and sisters, and right, like brother, sister, brother so-and-so, sister, they're together, but once again, right, different, all this stuff, like, it's no longer how it used to be. And I want to ask you this, like, how do you reach the generation coming up? How do you reach people our age that have lacked faith and stuff all their life? Like what do you feel needs to change in order for them to be reached?
And to be quite honest with you, I think the method of how people are going to be reached is through this. Like, because we're a social media generation. Like, everybody, and it's not so much that we're social media generation. We're like, we're a microwave generation.
Microwave. Like, it's so funny because I was getting my haircut. The old man was like, what messed up this generation? He said the microwave. Like, that quick gratification, like that quick, the microwave changed everything. So that's funny.
Like, everything comes fast, whether it's information, everything's at the, the palm of your hand.
Right.
Literally. So like, and it's funny because I always talk about like the iPhone, you know what I mean? The back of the iPhone, you have the bit and fruit, It's all knowledge, literally, whether it's good or bad. So then you have people utilizing something like that, but in this world where you have TikToks, videos that are 30 seconds, people can only process so much information. So to sit through a whole church service is not really going to capture the minds of the younger generation when they're 30 seconds of, you know what I mean? So that's like you shoot out tidbits of a good word that resonates where people are at, then like that's a method.
And it's so crazy you said that, because that's what I told myself, even about like the snippets and stuff I post. I'm like, realistically, you got few supporters, until I'm really huge, I'm like, you got a few supporters who gonna watch the whole interview through. But I'm like, realistically, our attention span is short. And it made me think back to like my professor in college. He like, if you can remember every word I said, then you special. You know what I'm saying? He like, you something else, because he like, that's why we take notes. You're not going to remember everything I said. You're not going to be able to sit up here for 45 minutes in a class and remember everything that was said. So going back to like a short attention span, and like, just even with that, it's like when you're talking to somebody, you call somebody, you might be trying to call your mom, aunts, you might have a problem, you might be trying to reach somebody. It's like everybody moving. You know what I mean? They listening, but they doing X, Y, Z. And it's like, I don't even want to talk anymore, because like I say, that short attention span. And then going back to what you said too, like reaching. I said, God, how can I reach people of my age, my generation? This.
Yeah.
I'm like this. I'm like, who doesn't want to listen to a dope podcast, dope guest? But I'm like, also too, we talking about God. We're doing it in a different way, right? We're not just nailing you with scriptures, verses, right? But it's like, nah, we talking, we having conversations, and going back to the whole resilient and being able to stand and recover quickly, because we go through things, especially being a child of God, like you say, going through a lonely journey, things like that. And it's like, I just wanted to create something where we all can relate, and then like just motivate people, like inspire people, like hopefully we say something that can resonate with somebody and then stick with them,
People just need that little tidbit. And like, I'll never forget, there's a pastor, Michael Todd, he's kind of like a young pastor.
Mike Todd, he Crazy Faith. I had finished reading this book like a month ago.
So like, I loved what he said, because he said that the whole, the one that blew up was relationship goals in that series that he did. And he said the way that it happened was that some girl somewhere posted like a minute clip or however long it was, she posted it on Twitter, and that started getting views, and that and from there it just skyrocketed. And that's when the Lord started speaking to him about changing the way that their setup was, investing in equipment for recordings and different things. So the Lord gave him the vision then on where it was going to go, and then he provided that through like her just posting that clip. So you never know, like whatever snippet you post is what somebody needed to hear, and how it shares. And things go viral all the time now.
Exactly.
So it's like so easy. But then it's like, it's not just a podcast like all the other podcasts that are out there. This is something that's speaking life into you. Like, because we're all, from whatever journey we're on, sometimes we need it. No matter where we're at, we need life spoken back into us.
For real.
You can only pour so much, but you can't pour from an empty cup. So like, to have somebody, speaking on the other end, and it's like, okay, you're going to find those few people that you resonate with. But then when you have somebody that's speaking, and they're speaking to, something that you've been through, a similar situation, or how you're feeling, then you're going to connect with that person. And then that's all you needed to hear in that moment to grab that little bit to keep going through life. because life's hard. I mean, you know what I mean? Like we said, there's an enemy out there, and that enemy is trying to take us all out because we all have purpose. We're all children of God, and He loves us all. So it's like we're literally going through this life trying to figure out and find ourselves at whatever level we're at. We're gonna make it, you know.
That's
because
real.
it's written in stone for us, but our choices and everything.
God already said the victory is yours.
Absolutely.
And man, what you talking about is real, and like that's why I'm like just bringing guests on. I hear something that I needed to hear. Those clips that I post, like people be like, I needed that. I be like, yo, I needed that. Like that's why I threw that clip up. Like you know that clip. You know, shout out to Dustin. You know, she like Dustin. I'm like I don't know nobody named Dustin. I'm like Dustin. I'm like 501 baby. I know 501 baby. I'm like I don't know no Dustin. I'm like Dustin. I'm like which one of my homies' name is Dustin? I'm like nah, I don't ring no bell. But like even in that clip, he just said thug it out. You know what I'm saying? Like just thug it out. You know what I'm saying? Get right. Trial and error, right, y'all. Life is literally trial and error, right? Till you find the right recipe, and then you just stick with it. So Sissy, I gotta ask, like, what, like, you know, as a woman, what are you looking for in a guy when you want to get in a relationship? What you looking for? Like what do they? Is it the looks? Is it
no,
they gotta smell good?
I can honestly say like no. I honestly looks like not so much. You would think, but no, like honestly.
So you would be with an ugly guy?
Hey, I'll go for someone with a good soul. Like I'm so serious, but like you know what I mean. Like I guess like you know I attract different things. So like I kind of know the type of men that I attract. So like you know, but honestly, like I love a man with a good soul. Like even whether that's somebody who is hard and believing in God or somebody who's just. You know what I mean? Out here living life, trying to survive. Like at the end of the day, if you got a good soul, there's something in you that is going to continue to get better. So like I feel like going through this life, I recently learned that like the way I discern people has been really well. So my discernment is really good. So like, you know, I'm able to connect with people, see if we vibe, see where their energy's at. And you know what I mean? I look people, you know, always look them in the eye, you know, and I'm reading people all the time. So it's like, as I go out, I would have to say that's pretty much my basis on everything. It's just a good soul. Like a good soul. Okay,
good soul. That's it, huh? Look, good soul don't cut it for me sometimes. Look, like good soul. I need the looks, I need the toes done. I'm just like,
I'm a natural person, so it's not like I don't need a nigga with like a bunch of sorry. Like,
no, you good. Hey, no. Talk that talk. Shoot. Hey, no. Talk that talk.
No, like, I don't know if I'm supposed to, like, I don't know, but I just don't care for somebody like, you know, money and all these things, they don't impress me. Like, even materialistics. Like, girls will be like, I need a man that's got, you know, and he's wearing this brand and that. It's not even that because materialistics are the last thing, because I came from nothing.
Right.
So when me coming from nothing, none of that stuff.
It's like none of that mean nothing to me.
Where's your mind at? Like, are you know what I mean? You grind. Like, are you a hustler? Like, where's your mind at? Are you an intellectual? The true test of a man is when he's down to nothing, is his character and who he's going to continue to be. And of course, I love a loyal man, always, because I'm a loyal person. Right, okay. But like, you know, in this generation, that's not something you can find easily because people have been done dirty all the time. So it's like, at least me staying loyal, you're going to see that. And if you can reciprocate off that, then we can grow. But if not, then we're just not meant to be for each other.
No, that's real right there. Come on, you talking, you got me fired up, like for real though. You really talking. So then let me ask you too, then like you say good soul, this and that. So what's like a deal breaker for you, like to end a relationship or to be like, nah, I'm not gonna be with this person? Like what's like a deal breaker?
I think it would have to be like the idea of gaslighting and something like almost like a narcissistic tendency of like when you meet somebody who's, because I mean you're good with your words, but like a man who's good with his words to the point where it can become controlling and you know and manipulative in that way. Right.
Because when you good with your words, you can manipulate people and things like that. And that's why I'm like, when you know you can take advantage of somebody, it's like, why? Like, most people out here broken. It's like, I know I can use my words in a way to influence you to get what I want. So it's like, why do that? Like, but going back to what you were saying, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would have to say, like, yeah, that's probably a deal breaker for me. It's just like seeing those kind of tendencies and how you can manipulate with your words. And you know what I mean? I get it. Like, we're all I hear a little white lie slip in there. But like, as long as you can keep it real with me, because I'm keeping it real with you, like on whatever level that is. Because my understanding is like, okay, I'm loyal, I'll keep it real with you, but the least you can do, like, keep it real with me. If you're talking to someone, you know, whatever, like, you know, because my thing going out here is, like, I know nobody's completely 100% single. Like, at this point, the way social media is going, isn't that the truth, though?
For real, I'm like, you look at the social media, I'm like, they look single, but then they be in a whole relationship. That's why I'm like, oh no, like,
that, you know what
are
I mean?
they in
Like,
the,
you know,
come on, that's all I'm like,
sneaky links, all that stuff.
sneaky
like,
links, come on.
But like it's the truth. It's like it's just like, you know what I mean? As at the end of the day, if you can keep it real with me, then like that I'll respect that to the utmost.
That's real. That's what I'm saying. Just being real, like keeping it real with me and yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, a lot of people not real on how they want to live. You know, they with this girl, but they want 4 other girls. That's why I'm like, live honestly. Like, and I think back to what my dad was saying about like Floyd Mayweather. I don't know if you know Floyd, the boxer, but like, you know, he like, I don't like having one woman. It's close to 0. Like, he an honest dude though. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, people can't handle that. And then like you go be with somebody who's not honest. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna do you right. But then they cheating. Like, you might as well say, look, I'm gonna have you and 5 others. Or hey, I like you, but I'm gonna date 5 other dudes. Like, just going back to being real and being honest. But I'm like, man, it's a struggle out here. Like you say, people be having, I don't know. I ain't gonna say relationships. Like, y'all might take offense, but situations. I don't know, because I'm like, man, it's definitely crazy. Like, man, it's definitely crazy. Like, let me ask, like, do you feel like who do you feel like cheats more, men or women?
You know, honestly,
I gotta ask.
With that question being said nowadays, I think it's equal.
I think it's equal. I think it's
equal ballpark for everyone. Like these, you know what I mean? Like, because women know how to move too. Like, you know,
they better than us. Like, one thing my relationship teacher pointed out, he like. If your woman don't want you to catch her cheating, you won't catch her cheating. Because he like, think about it, he like sends kids who can write better. I'm like, damn, we used to write sloppy as little boys. Who had the perfect handwriting? Who was always smarter? Women. I'm like, dang, so he like, they better than us at doing this. And I'm like,
that's the truth. Because if you really think about it, like, we know it stems way back into the Bible. You know, the woman was created for the man. But she was created to be his helpmeet. But then you see it through different generations of like, women can be a man's downfall because we're natural nurturers. We know how to speak life into a man, and we know how to give him, you know, everything that will please him. Right. But then you take a woman that has that mindset and knows how to do that, and she flips it to where it's an advantage for her. That's why you have movies where these guys get set up, these men get set up, and they get killed, whatever, or whatever happens, they lose out, all because of women. So it's like, it has.
Hear that, women? I hope y'all hear this.
Hey, I'm a woman too. So
right, no, you tell the truth, you tell the real, like.
So like, it's the truth. So like, it's just like moving about it. It's just like, it's a level ball field for everybody. It's like, it's fair game because it's like, it just depends on where your heart lies, where your loyalty lies. If you're loyal, you love yourself, then you can move about life like that. But I mean, everybody has different intentions going into everything. So it's where your intentions are truly. So, you know, whatever it is that you are inside, you will attract. And, you know, so I just feel like moving through, I can say, like, I would say, you know, at one point I probably would have said men, but then that was me coming from a place of, like, I'm a loyal person. So, like,
I ain't telling the women, right?
You know what I mean? No, but, like, now I'm like.
Did you ever cheat?
No, I've never, I don't know.
Because I always hear people, I got cheated on. I'm like, you ain't never cheated. Like,
that's what I pride myself on. I pride myself on that. The one thing, like, my vow to God is like, Lord, if I'm good in any relationship, then let me find the husband. Like, if I'm good in all my relationships, whatever relationship I'm in, I was in a relationship, we were together for like 8 years. Right. Never stepped out on that person. Never even gave somebody the, you know what I mean? And made that man feel like a king because I never looked at somebody, gave googly eyes, none of that stuff. Because my vow to God was like, God, if I'm loyal to this person and I treat him great, then all I want, if this works out or not, is just a man that's going to love my kids, a husband that's going to love me and love our kids.
And you know what's the scary part, and I think this is what scares a lot of people, and like that's why you got a lot of cheating and stuff going on nowadays. Is because nothing's 100% sure. We're not sure on nothing. Like you say, God, I'm gonna be loyal to this man. I'm gonna treat him like a king. This and that. What scares a lot of people is that you still can go step out on it. I can be as good and as great that I am to you, and you can still go cheat on me. You can still go mess around. So I feel like what that causes a lot of people to do is to be like, well, I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna act like I really don't care. I'm gonna act like I really don't want this, and it's because you don't know if it's really gonna work out. You feel me? Versus like like that's why I say like having faith and you know what I'm saying, being with God, like sometimes you just gotta do and you just gotta trust Him.
Yeah.
And regardless, like no matter what happened, whether it works out or whether it was a lesson learned or whatever, like it was all for a reason. Like God don't make mistakes. Whether it was to open your eyes and show you, or what it was to show you what you're looking for, you know, in future and things like that. But I'm like, to hear what you're saying though, it's kind of, I'm like, man, that's what that unknown. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a scary feeling, like not knowing, but
it is. And I got, you know what I mean? And through that, I mean, I got done dirty, all that stuff, but like I had to take it with my chin up because that's what I chose. Right. The other person is choosing what they chose.
And then it's like, in the end, it's like, damn, you really didn't do me dirty because it's like, shoot, it's your loss for real. Like, it's like when people say, like, I'm the chase, like, I'm the chase. Yeah. Like, no, so it's like, I ain't lose nothing. I ain't take no loss for real, you know? And then, like, sis, like, let me ask you, Sissy, like, for you, like, you know, because now you're transitioning into the next chapter of your life, right? Mm-hmm. What does that look like for you? Like, is it business adventures? Is it traveling the world? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So right now, the transition is moving me towards coming back to what I first loved in childhood. Right. So I'm kind of uncovering everything and realizing that, like, a lot of my purpose stems from our childhood because as children, like, we were at our most pure state. So if we can uncover everything that we've learned and that the system has taught us, then we're going back to that pureness on who we really are. Right. So when I go back to that, I think about my love for like architecture. And like I told you, the house that I wanted and everything. Like, I don't know if you remember that game, The Sims.
Oh man, I love The Sims. I used to play that, build a house, have like 6 babies. Like, I'm like, ooh, this is dope. To like, man, real life, I'm like, ooh, I like Sims better, right?
Okay,
so,
yeah,
that's my game.
Yeah. And that speaks to a lot of who you are. Like, I mean, for you to create that many children means that like you want it in your life to be able to be a
truthfully,
you know what I mean? To have that and be a provider.
I want the nice car. I want all that. I got the nice.
But
real though.
But I used to play that game and I loved more than making like families. So I didn't really care for like the
right.
I just cared about building the houses. Like I remember I'd go and look up little cheat codes just so I could be able to design the houses like in a whole other type of way. And like I used to watch the way that they did it and it was like a big scale on the way that you can design. So like I think about that and that was where I started. And so then I went into college and I was trying to figure out what to do. I went to a community college. And then I was trying to figure out, you know, I wanted to do teaching, wanted to do business. None of them really I stuck with. But then I found what they call a CAD, which is computer aided drafting and design. Okay. And I took only like 2 classes of that to learn how to do the software. Mm-hmm. And I got a job at an engineering firm. Okay. And it was like one of the top engineering firms in the state. So like I worked with them for a while. The pandemic happened, then I found another company and I was with them. But then I started realizing because their engineering firm was in civil. So with computer-aided drafting and design, you can do things like architecture, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. You can even design jewelry off of that. So like,
it's a lot of lanes.
It's for anybody young and watching, like if you don't know what to do, STEM is always the way. If you don't like school, but you can learn a trade, especially if you're good on the computer.
Is that why they had STEM in school and stuff like that? Okay.
Science,
I'm like
technology,
STEM. Okay,
engineering, and math. All that stuff. Like,
never knew what that was. I thought that was like a elite club. I'm like, I get C's and D's. I'm like, I can't do no STEM.
It's whatever you put. You can do whatever you put your mind to. Like, you know what I mean? So like, if you just dive into something like that, you don't really like school. Those are the trades and the skill sets that you can learn that you don't need a 4-year degree for. People will hire you on, just like I told you, like they hired me on with just taking 2 classes of just learning the software. And these are top engineering firms within the state.
One question I want to ask you, and I think off topic because like it's one thing that's like just been sitting on my mind. I was like, dang, I got to ask you just from a woman's standpoint, like this whole feminism, thing that's going on, and like I feel like a lot of people, like, you know, you got a lot of women talking about how they don't need man and things like that now. I feel like, you know, it's good that women, like, you know, we want to be equal. We want to do these things and that, which, like I said, I think we are equal. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, but, like, I feel like it's starting to create that division. Like, it's starting to go in, like, an opposite negative way. Because, like I say, now you got women, I don't need no dude. You know what I'm saying? So now they messing around with multiple, you know, dudes, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's starting to, like, create that division, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's starting to make it to where relationships are no longer the norm. Getting married is no longer the norm. And it's, like, all because of this, I gotta be this way now. I gotta, like, show my energy. I gotta show I don't need a man now, stuff like that. Like, do you get what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see where that, I feel like that's coming from a place of, like, the the climate of the dating culture right now is because people are out here, like we said, like nobody's really single. You know what I mean?
Real talk. Maybe so, like, situations, come on.
Or like, you know what I mean? They have somebody they're talking to, or not even that. Like because of social media, there's always something better. The grass is always greener. Like you're just scrolling and you're like, damn, this girl's picture. You know what I mean? And then someone follows you, or you follow. You know what I mean? Like it's an interconnected world where like we're meeting people that without it we would have never met in this life. So it's like it's a good and it's a bad thing. But like in the time that we're living in, I feel like because of that climate and because like there's always opportunities out there not to have to be in a committed and monogamous relationship, that people are getting hurt, and a lot of that hurt is driving people elsewhere because
truthfully.
I mean men get hurt too.
Exactly. That's why I be telling people, like, you know, the homies be, I'm out with this girl, this and that. I be like, bro, you hurt. You know, like I'm not gonna be the one patting you on the back. I'm gonna tell you, you hurt, bro. You heartbroken. Like somebody broke your heart. Like nah, for real.
At the end of the day, we all want to be loved, and
that's why I asked you that question, because I'm like, in reality, we all want to be loved though, and we all really want somebody. So it's like, why we acting like, oh, I don't need nobody. I don't need. Yes, you do. Like it's somebody for everybody. So it's like we all want to be loved. We all want that one person. We all want that one person to love us, show us a, you know.
Yeah,
so I'm like, we all want that.
I went through that same mindset of after that long relationship that I was in. I was like, I'm just gonna get this money. Like at this point, I'm gonna get this money. I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm gonna provide for myself. Because I mean, really, what more do I need? And the money was cool. It was coming in. Like,
but I'm like, to me, I'm like, yo, it's not enough. I got a pocket full of money. I'm like, my heart's still hurt. I like once again, just want somebody, like, just really want somebody for you, like, to laugh with, do life with.
We go out in the world, and I go out on the job and I wear this mask and people know me not really the mask, but like, you know what I mean? People see it is.
Right.
Like, it's like people see me one way, but like when I'm behind closed doors, like you just need that person to like speak, you know what I mean? Speak life into each other, chill with each other, laugh, like, you know what I mean? Be able to let down and be silly, be a kid, act like a child.
Act like a child, laugh, all that for real, because like, it's like, man, it's like when you walk, like you say that mask, like I thought of like putting my armor on. It's like when I go out in the world, I got to put my armor on, I have my shield. So it's like you want to be able to just take your armor off and, you know what I'm saying, just chill. Like just
have your lady rub your back, you know what I mean? Cookie, whatever. You know, everybody needs that, and it's just like, it's something that you can't really find.
No, that's definitely it right there, Sissy. And like, you know, I'm just thankful that you even decided to just step and come on the platform, because like I say, just, you know, I seen you start liking my stuff, and I'm like, cool, like that's dope that she's liking my stuff. And then I'm like, I start going down your page and I'm like, boom, I'm seeing the scriptures. I see got it on my own, but not on my own. Like I'm seeing this and I'm like, man, like I say, God give you the spirit. I'm like, that's a woke woman right there. I'm like, you know, she need to come on here and chop game, you know what I'm saying? So I thought you was, you know, perfect. You know, I gotta ask, like, why take the opportunity to come on here? I just gotta, like, why even be interested in coming on?
Well, really, it was something that I've been praying for too, because I always felt like I had something to say, but I never knew how to get it out. Like I always had the idea of starting the blog, you know what I mean, and doing the YouTube thing, but I just didn't know how to go about it. And if anything that I ever had to say was of value, but honestly, it came as I saw your page and I started looking at the different interviews, and like every single interview, somebody had something to say that I took from. It was like a golden nugget. I resonated with it, and I was able to take that, and I was like, huh. And then it clicked to me that like we all have something to say. If you walk into a library, you see how many books there are of people who have something to say.
Come on.
And like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, and those things that we say is what's going to help somebody else. So it's like, you telling your testimony is going to be somebody else's survival guide.
Come on.
And with that in mind, it's like I just keep going. And so that's why I was like, okay, you gave the opportunity. It was a blessing. We connected. Like, you were good people. And that's a discernment. Like, okay. Right. So I ran with that. I was like, all right, we're going to get this done. We're going to do it. We'll sit down. We'll see how it goes. And, you know, we're here now. So.
Heck yeah. No, we here. We're here. And, like, you know, it's been amazing and stuff. And, man, I'm, like I say, just thankful. Let me ask, like, you know, before I let you go and stuff, like, what's some, you know, especially with it being Women's History Month, like, what is something you feel like women need to hear? Or it might just be some advice, or it might just be some uplifting encouragement. Like, what's something you want to, you know, say to all the women who going to watch and tune in and stuff?
Yeah,
and then what about the men? Do we need to get our act together or what? You know what I'm saying?
It'll come.
Right, I'm just playing.
To each his own. But I think for the women, like, one of the biggest things that I had to learn was the journey of loving myself. loving myself and learning to accept myself for where I'm at, and the understanding that it's all encompassed within a mindfulness. Like, our thoughts matter as we go through the day, like what we're thinking. And though, you know, we talk about positive affirmations, those are important because you have to speak life into yourself. With social media and everything, like, you have to remind yourself that I am fearfully and wonderfully made as you go through life every day, because God made each of us in his image. So we're already perfect. No matter where we're at, no matter where we feel like we fall short, we're all, you know, made in his image. So we're perfect. But the idea of loving yourself comes from a place of just understanding that, you know, you have to take care of your mind, your body, your spirit, you know, everything. So it's more encompassed than just, you know, just learning how to take great pictures of yourself and all that surface level stuff. It's there. But I think that's the biggest part of anybody's journey, is because when you can love yourself, then you can pour into others from that same love, and then you're going to find a different stability where you...
Sissy, you was really talking right there, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely I love what you said. And like, a lot of, I felt like, you know, just getting a woman on here, hearing it from a different perspective, you know what I'm saying? Like, hearing it from a woman's perspective, hearing you to talk like this was very huge, you know what I mean? I felt like, you know, people need to hear this, not just for Women's Month. I'm glad we doing this during Women's Month too as well, but I'm like, this was just something that people just need to hear in general. So like, I'm very thankful, you know what I'm saying, that you took the time to come sit down with me, you know what I'm saying, hop on, you know, the platform, you know what I'm saying. So I'm very thankful, Sissy. Before I let you go, is there anything you might want to say to anybody, you know what I'm saying, your followers, supporters, anybody who might watch this? Or
Yeah, no, like, I mean, everybody just keep pushing day by day, you know what I mean? Take it day by day. And whatever is provided in that day is enough. Whatever you have now is what you need. Whatever you don't have, you don't need it. Because God's going to supply all our needs no matter what. And I mean, you look at the birds, God feeds them every day. Like, you know, and they don't need for nothing. So how much more are we, you know, important in his eyes? So like I said, if there's anything I learned through life, is like, we worry, we stress, we all deal with anxiety, but we can only control what we can control. So worry about today, and tomorrow will come when it comes. So that's it.
Look, I can't follow up after that, y'all. So we out. Sissy, I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, for taking the time. We out of here, y'all.
Thank you.
Yup.